Hi everyone, welcome to this very special edition of dApp Stars, where we're meeting with all the top projects within the BNB Chain ecosystem to tell us more about what they're building so that you can learn more about how to best use and interact with all these exciting projects building on BNB Chain. Today we have a very special guest and a very special project. We have Anne from Project Galaxy. Project Galaxy is building a very powerful, a very collaborative infrastructure that powers an open credential data network on Web3. And here with us to tell us all about that, what it means for you, what it means for Web3, is Anne. So welcome, Anne. Hi.
Hi. How are
How's it
you?
going? Doing well,
Good.
doing well. A little bit under the weather, but I'm getting there. How are
We
you?
both woke up with raspy voices, so it's going to be a very fun
Yeah, for
hour.
everyone, you don't know what we usually sound like, so it's I think it won't matter too much. But for everyone dialing in from around the world, welcome. Feel free to drop in where you're tuning in from in the comments on YouTube. For those dialing in, tuning in via Twitter, I know you probably can't do that, but do tweet about the event. Welcome, welcome. We have quite a packed agenda, a lot of questions to get through, and obviously we love your questions as well. So do drop them in the comments as you watch, and we'll do our best to cover them as well. But maybe, Anne, to kick us off, I would love to learn a little bit more about your story, because then you have an awesome story of how you landed in this Web3 world, and then how you landed at Project Galaxy and what it's doing for the community.
For sure. So I'll start by saying I'm at Project Galaxy. I'm the CMO there. So I've been there for about 3 months now. And my villain backstory in crypto and all of this crazy Web3 is I was kind of dabbling in crypto from afar. My partner was really deep into crypto, but I didn't really get it. I was very much thought I was very nerdy. I didn't get the, money behind it. So I had a bit of crypto here and there. But back in October, he brought me to a conference and I was totally red pilled. I think I understood what that meant then. Uh, Especially, I've always been, a marketer. And when I saw NFTs and the utility behind NFTs and all that you can do, once I understood at that conference that NFTs are way more than, JPEGs, I was really mind blown. So I came back home and I quit my job on the Monday after that trip,
That's
which was
cool.
like
It's like in a
kind of
movie. Sorry.
it was kind of a shock for my boss and myself, but I did it. I started freelancing in the space. I was freelancing for a few protocols. I was freelancing for Pool Together. I don't know if you know or not, and they were looking to do a gamified engagement piece with NFTs. Right? They wanted to do a campaign where people did tasks like deposit in the pool, like their tweets, stuff like that. So I started searching around and then I found Project Galaxy, which I'll go more into details with. So I worked using Project Galaxy, but as Pool Together, so as a partner. And then after 2 campaigns, Project Galaxy came to recruit me to be part of the team. So that's kind of my story. So in 6 months, it's gone from what is an NFT to can I help you with NFTs? So,
The industry moves quickly, and 6 months, I'm sure Project Galaxy is like maybe more than a year in another sort of industry. So in terms of the change that you see, but for everyone who's dialing in, probably some are very familiar with Web3, some are maybe less familiar with Project Galaxy. We'd love to learn, like, what does Project Galaxy do? What does it mean?
for sure. Project Galaxy, we help create experiences with Web3 credentials. So, what does that mean is that we help creators, builders, DAOs, so really anyone who wants to build here, use credentials. Credentials are, proof of on-chain or off-chain tasks. So, depositing money, trading, whatever that may be, and using those to reward and better engage with their users, right? So, there's a lot of different things that we do. But as of today, I would say that 90% of the people, they use us to build really like campaigns where they can reward and engage their users. So that can go from, 6-week campaigns where when users do off-chain, on-chain tasks, get rewarded. That can be We have another product where it's you go to an event, you scan a QR code, you have that proof that you went there, that achievement that you went there.
Yep.
So there's all these different things, but this credential system, it can be for a lot of things. In the future, it could help for credit scoring, right? So on the user side, all of these credentials is kind of like your on-chain profile, your resume, if you will. So I was telling you, Moran, we just bought a house a year ago, and because we were operating, working for crypto companies and crypto tech, banks didn't want to lend us money. So eventually, if we could have used this kind of credit scoring in the crypto world, maybe that could have been better. On-chain resume. So anyway, so there's a very interesting, we help builders, but there's also a very, there's a user end to it. So we're more, I like to say P2P2C, so protocol to protocol to consumer or to user.
Yeah. So were you able to use any on-chain data when you were buying the house, or not yet?
Not yet. That was before I knew about Project Galaxy.
There will be a world in which I hope in which that you'll be able to do something like that with Project Galaxy.
It's definitely changing. I've already seen in 6 months, going to conferences, going to talks, a lot of companies popping up, maybe for mortgages or tax purposes. It's something that we didn't quite see 6 months or a year ago, and now there's a lot more. So there's a lot more resources for people. So
yeah, amazing. But if we take a step back, so in terms of what Project Galaxy is solving for in this sort of Web3 world, I mean, for people who are maybe familiar with the equivalent of this in the Web2 world in terms of data networks, how does that work, or what's wrong there, and why and how is it different in this sort of Web3 world?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's a two approach question. So let me go by number one. So if we compare into the day-to-day what we do, we're kind of like the Facebook Business Manager or the Google Analytics ads of Web3. And what I'll explain by that is that in the back end, for those who are familiar or not familiar, Google, Facebook, they have all your data, right? So if you're doing a campaign on Facebook, you'll be looking to target men 20 to 28 who like soccer and a beer on Friday nights. And then you're going to push an ad that's, I don't know, your golf court, whatever. So that's kind of how it works, right? It's similar in the way that all of these credentials that, you're providing, the creators are providing, then they use that to go and reward you with it.
Okay.
It's like creating your own target audience. However, you're not pushing that on social media. I think in Web3, that's where the control goes back to the user. It goes to your wallet, right? So the user, there's great resources like, Earnify, where you can see what airdrops am I eligible to because I have that wallet, and I kind of decide where do I go to search to see what I'm eligible to do, right? So people are in Discord, on Twitter, they're following the projects they like, and they can see what can I do with this. So that's the first part of the answer, which is more like how it works than what we can compare it to. On the credential side of things, how are we better, or what are we changing, right?
Yes.
So in the traditional Web2 world, Facebook, Google, all of these, not to name anyone,
I not name them, but let's name them.
I mean, we all know who we're talking about here.
Okay. So in that sort of environment.
That sort of environment. They use our data, they have it, and they monetize it, right? That's how they make money off of our data, and the user is not in control, right? So we're changing that, where this is decentralized. This is also already data that's there. It's data that's on chain, right? So we're just taking it, making sure that people who do have these things are eligible for, rewards, whatever that protocol wants to give out. And the power kind of goes back to the users, because they decide, with those data, with where they go and what they do with it, right? Eventually, some things that we could do is decide what the user wants people to see or not see. May that be, through okay, I don't want to participate, or I do whatever. So yeah, we're giving back the power to the user in that case.
Yeah.
And we're
And tell us, what does this user look like? Who is the typical user?
That's a great question. So here, I'm very visual, so I'm
Yeah.
trying to draw. So there's us, and then we have our partners who come in to utilize Project Galaxy's infrastructure, right? So they come and they do. Let's go with the most obvious case or the most used case, which is NFT modules. So
Yep.
those reward campaigns and things like that. So they come in to use that, and then they bring in their users, right? Because the
Mhm.
users come and play with it. So we've been here for 1 year now. We have over 400 and something partners. So,
Mhm.
and we've had over 2,000 campaigns. So a lot, a lot. What that created is that all of these partners who are bringing in their users, that created actually a huge bank of users for us. So we have about, I think if I'm not mistaken, 50 or 60,000 unique wallets like per day or per week that come over a month. I think it's over 200,000 that come back and see what's going on. So when partners come in to use us, they have their users that they want to
Yep.
engage, but they also have this huge pool of people who are there who just want to try things, right? And
Yep.
they might not stick around, and that's fine. I think a lot of these campaigns and a lot of this work is just kind of like having people test it out, having people try it out, and there's stuff here for everyone, and there's things that there's some protocols you're not gonna like or you're not gonna continue using,
Enjoy
and
you.
some yeah. So it's basically it goes back to that learn to earn, participate to earn, all of that, and then these users can might stick with your protocol. So it's quite nice for partners who want to come in and test some stuff, right?
Yep. Yep. So
Yeah.
you're very much empowering the partners, but also the end users both at the same time.
For sure, we've got like a very big Discord of about a lot of users who are there. We do campaigns just with them as well. So
Yep.
one thing that we do actually at Project Galaxy is when we were testing out a new module. Let's say we're doing a new product for our partners, we might do our own campaign with it and do it just with our users so that they can test it out. That way, before we provide this new service or this new module for our partners, it's been tested out by our people.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah,
Um, and speaking of models, and you kind of touched on the NFT part, but um, it sounds like there are different types of NFT applications, right? That creators can use within Project Galaxy. And kind of to initial question in terms of, maybe 6 months ago people were asking like, what is an NFT? And now it's kind of brought into what are all the different ways that creators can use NFT applications on Project Galaxy. Would love any your thoughts on that.
yeah, for sure. I'll start by the beginning. So when they come in, you'll see often on our website we talk about open, collaboratively, going towards permissionless. What that
Yep.
means is that when you're a partner with us, you have access to our dashboard. The dashboard is where you create. So going back to that Facebook Business Manager, where what's the name of your campaign? It's a very plug and play form. You
Okay.
write everything in there. Really looks like a Facebook ad manager. The smart contract is already, we do it for you. So super easy to use. So you say, what's the name of your campaign? What NFT do you want? So you can do the artwork. So what's the utility? Give us the list of credentials. Or is it like, sometimes there's an active list of credentials. So, like liking a tweet or things like that. So you give all of that and then you create the campaign. But when
Okay.
you go to, so yeah, pretty simple, right?
Well, that's simple to follow. Yeah, I think people will be
Yeah.
familiar with
And we have got 4 different ways of distributing the NFTs. So I'll go through those with you. So the first one is just like an NFT drop. So that's we can help you power any NFT drop that you would want to do. That's just like give us a list of wallets, we go. Then we have, which is my favorite. I know we shouldn't have favorites, but it's my favorite way of working. We have the mystery box NFT. The mystery box NFT is a really fun one because you can have multiple NFTs in one campaign and you
Mhm.
can give them a different weight and different rarity.
Okay.
So I'll give you a concrete example, and it's a pull together example, which I helped curate with them.
Yes.
We had a 8-week campaign. We had 8 NFTs. It was called the Pool Together Pool Season 1. And the artwork was quite amazing by an amazing designer. And they were like trading cards from 1 to 8, 8 being the most rare. So
Okay.
so what happened was that we had 8 weeks, but we had 2 to 3 tasks per week. and people kept coming and playing because I don't know if anyone's played with Pokemon cards here. I'm sure you have, or
I'm a
collected.
massive fan. I still have my stash.
I love it. I love it. Let's stay online and talk about it afterwards. That what was fun is that people could come back because you might end up having the NFT, the card number 2. You might have that one 3 times, but you want the number 7 because you're missing it so
Yes.
people come back and collect them. And then it also creates sometimes secondary markets, right? Where people trade. Oh, I'll trade you your number 3 for my number 4, things like that. So it's a lot of fun because it's super engaging. It makes it that people are excited to come back and do the tasks for the week because, and what we did is that we show the full collection, right? And then the reason we called it like season 1, well, maybe there's a season 2, and then maybe those. And I'm slowly transitioning to the utility behind these NFTs, which is like the fun part is maybe next year, or like if you have all 8, you burn and forge them for one massive one. Not saying that that's what we're doing.
That's all okay. But that could be like one future that you look into.
That could be.
Yeah.
So that's the mystery box. And then we have a parent campaign. So parent campaign is just like kind of actually for the pull together example is a good example because we did a parent campaign with mini campaigns inside of it. So each week was like a campaign. And then we have the OAT, which is much more of our in-person or our AMAs or events kind of NFT. Which is an on-chain achievement token. These are I would say a competitor to POAP, if I will, if I may. They're on Polygon, however, so they do appear on your OpenSea, on your wallets. They're also because everything we do is tied to the credentials. That's what's really important for us. If ever you were to sell the OAT NFT, so the visual part of it, the credential is still tied to your wallet. So you still have that proof that you went to an event or that you attended an AMA. So that's our other NFT. So that's kind of how it works.
Yeah. So just to recap for everyone, so who might be less familiar, so you could earn the credential and you'd get the NFT tied to it, but then you could still theoretically sell that NFT or send it to someone else, but the credential would still be tied to kind of the activity that I completed and to my wallet, right?
Exactly.
Nice.
And I know we're going to talk about Galaxy ID later, but maybe this is a nice transition to it. So the way to go see that, whoever is listening, to me, it looks like it's just me and Maran, but maybe there's 5 of you.
There are
There's
a lot of people on Twitter. So yeah.
So for people who are listening, if you want to go and see, go to galaxy.eco, which is our website, and visit the Galaxy ID. So Galaxy ID is our version of your, on-chain profile or resume. And that is where there's all your list of achievements and things you've done. So if ever you get NFTs from Project Galaxies, those would appear in there. If you see NFTs, those are the Project Galaxy NFTs. It's normal. You don't see your Bored Apes or Doodles or whatnot. But if you go to the credential tab under Galaxy ID, you will see all of the actions that you've done on chain in one place. It's actually kind of fun to go see because you might be reminded of things you've done a year ago that you don't even remember, right? So that's what I mean by the credential side. You'll see that the credentials that are tied to those OAT NFTs, those on-chain achievement tokens, or the NFTs that you got from doing the campaigns are detached and are in there in those credentials so that you keep that.
Actually, I see we have a question from JR and the crowd about those oats and how we can, and I think because we're talking about it now, how can we use them to build better communities, or how could that be applied to DAO governance? I know you kind of touched on this, but maybe for JR, like, is that something you could share more about?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, we just realized we didn't touch on the utility behind the NFTs that we can do when we do have the campaign. Sorry, when I start talking, these things all come together. It all melts down. I'm gonna open my list because there's a lot that we can do. But so for example, let's go with the more simple things. You could say, okay, you get some merch from the company, or you get maybe, you get all 4 NFTs, you burn and forge them, you get $50 back into their pool. You can do there's a lot of utility, and how we can distribute, and how we can know what are the different things we have. We can use Snapshot, we can use Gleam, so we can use all the Twitter stuff. We can so for the governance purposes, so if you vote on governance, you could reward with an oat, or reward with an NFT through voting and Snapshot. So that's definitely something that we do. We've also just launched a new feature, which is now with AMAs on Discord, you can reward with an NFT. So we built this. I don't go on the dev side, but we built a new product that.
So like rewarding for basically for everyone in the BNB Chain community who are, there are a lot of people who attend the AMAs, but for the most active, the most strongest community advocates and members, they can there's a world in which they'd get even an extra layer of loyalty or credentials or benefits, right, for contributing. That's the new feature, right?
Yeah, exactly. So before it was hard to track wallet addresses in Discord to be able to automatically reward, right? So oftentimes you would have to do, fill out a form, or, like the tweet, so that we know that you listen to the AMA kind of. So, but now we have a feature that allows us to reward people who've listened to the AMA without doing all the complicated like forms and stuff like that. So that's great. So yeah, there's a lot of different things that we can do with it. I don't know if that answers the question or
Yeah, I
not.
think it does. I think. And Joe, you can drop follow-up questions as well afterwards. So I'm curious. It sounds like Project Galaxy is like the main player kind of tackling this problem, but maybe there are other projects that are working on a similar problem or anything like that. Keen to get your thoughts on, how Project Galaxy has been able to differentiate itself kind of in the Web3 world.
For sure. It's a great question. So what I like to answer for that is that Galaxy as a whole, I haven't seen any direct competition of all that we do. However, per product or per service, we do have different competitors. So let's go through them together. So in terms of like digital ID and digital Web3 ID, there's a lot of competitors there. We're seeing it. There's some great things. I know Disco XYZ is coming up. Others who are doing a great job. Then in terms of OATs, which is the on-chain achievement token, I've seen a few. So, POAP, as I mentioned earlier, I kind of said, how we differentiate and how we're a little bit different on the fact that we are on Polygon chain, show up, we're tied to credentials. So that's the fun part of it. And then in terms of like the learn to earn and stuff like that, there's obviously a lot of different projects that do it. A big one would be Rabbit Hole, right? But if I'm not mistaken, I think Rabbit Hole kind of picks and chooses who they want, where we're really a platform or an infrastructure where anyone can come in and anyone can build using our infrastructure. So, and there's others than Rabbit Hole that do this kind of stuff. So yeah, but as a whole, as a credential tied into those like NFT modules and tied into like all of that, I think I'm not sure if there's someone that does exactly what we do.
I don't think so. But that's why I was curious to kind of get your thoughts as well. By the way,
I mean, sorry, I was in me. Careful. I'm very careful because you never know what people are working on, and it seems like new protocols every other week. So I mean, I'm careful. There might be someone that does
exactly.
does
And you're right. No one should ever rest on their laurels. So I completely. I think everyone would find that would agree with that, and I think that's the right way to approach it and to kind of continuously build. I see there are a few more people who are joining. So welcome if you're just tuning in. We're doing a dedicated session for Project Galaxy, and as one of the top players and dApps building on BNB Chain. For those who aren't familiar with Project Galaxy, we're just talking about how they build much more sophisticated, much more collaborative credential data to power users and their partners on Web3. So welcome if you just joined. I want to take a step back. I know we jumped into quite a few things, but obviously Project Galaxy is playing a very central role in how Web3 is evolving. And I know it's a word that is thrown around quite a lot and has become a bit of a buzzword. But I'm keen to understand like what Web3 means for you, and then specifically present and future, what role you see Project Galaxy owning in that space.
For sure. I think we kind of touched on, our comparatives in the
Yeah,
Web2 world. So I think that would be probably where we wanna go, right? Where people would just come and use us, going towards that permissionless platform. And so any creator, any can build, So I mean, eventually you could come and say, "Hey, I'm gonna create an oat for my friend's 30th birthday party," right?
that's
So
awesome. Yeah, I can see
yeah,
that.
there's a lot that you can do. So yeah, I think that's kind of where we're going. And so yeah, and
Yeah.
it moves fast, it evolves. So we're saying this now, maybe in a year, who knows where Web3 will be in a year, but that's kind of the vision for now. So
But in terms of those applications, so you're right, like you could build a node for, I mean, obviously when we talk about events, like it's like a very broad term, but you're right, it could be for a friend's birthday party. But like, what are the kind of specific applications that you're most excited about? So you mentioned, for those who are just joining, kind of like the credit building, or credit scoring system. Yeah, keen to get your thoughts on what you're most excited about.
okay, I'll show you. I'll tell you what I'm most excited about.
Yeah.
I think where we will really, thrive and grow is when Web 2 meets Web 3, right? So something that could be really fun is like dynamic loyalty points and loyalty systems. So as of now, in like the traditional world, let's say, I don't know if you're frequent flyer,
Yeah.
you get points, right? Every dollar spent is a point.
This is
So let's say in the future, brands or whatever, it could be okay, every dollar spent is a point, but also every, tweet that you like or everything that you interact with. Like, so you don't only have like the big spenders who are rewarded, but the actually most engaged users. So maybe for for an airline company, that's not the best example, but let's say for an artist, right? So you could say, I can see that this person has bought my album, has come to my shows, has come to my movie premiere and watched it on Netflix. Like, obviously these are things that are not here right now. Watching on Netflix, I don't think can be rewarded just yet, but all of these things, and you could be like, okay, well, like this audience member, this person, I've been a Taylor Swift fan since I'm 12, and I can see it on the chain, on chain, because of all the things that I've done and participated in, and whatnot. So those kind of loyalty programs would be just off the charts, like on steroids, right? Because you could
yeah.
really prove your most engaged fans. So I think for artists and stuff, that's like the best example. But even brands like, Nike, for example, who they do a lot of like experiential work, or things like that. Like, oh, I went to the Nike store in New York, which is like the big one. I scanned something there, so I'm always going. I'm scanning new things. So I think that will be really fun to see, like how far we can go with that kind of work.
That is awesome, right? Yeah, because I mean, talking about creators, I mean, or artists, right? Like people, I think, do take a lot of pride in kind of being there, like, of course, being a loyal fan, but like maybe being there from the beginning or going to that special show, that special pop up. And I think finding ways to celebrate that community or reward people for their contribution that goes beyond just spending, dollars, on an event or on an artist, I think is really empowering. And same thing for Nike, right? I mean, they'll have
Yeah,
special events throughout the city, and you might go and celebrate it, but sometimes you might not buy anything. But I think that I kind of I share the excitement about that. I think as someone myself, who would use that, I think that's really awesome, and I'm
I
sure
think
that
so
people
too.
tuning in as well who would.
I went to so I'm Canadian, and I went to one of the concerts from the weekend when he was like, this was like years ago, before he was well known, like really
Yeah.
little theater. And I'm like, I was there when he was first started, but no one
Yeah.
believes me. So if I hadn't,
No,
so if I had,
I'm sure people don't. They're like, yeah, we've heard that before. Or like same thing
mhm.
with Drake and other people like, yeah, we've heard that before.
No, I was like, no, I went. But so yeah, I just, if I had a, a token or something to prove it and an NFT to prove it, they would believe me now. I mean, obviously, I sleep very well at night. People don't think I'm a liar, but it's just those little things, and it's also there's like a mix of like pride and memorabilia and also engaging and also rewarding, which is all the things that I think as humans we're just we operate like that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's like a powerful, like a very emotive feeling of like belonging and contributing to something bigger than yourself, whether it's like a brand, ultimately like that's how we relate to these things, like contributing to an experience that other and that set of values that other people share as well, right? Whether it's a brand, an artist,
For sure.
or even a protocol, right? As well,
Yeah.
that's doing something specific. So I think there'll be loads of exciting use cases for everyone, and everyone tuning in as well.
I
So obviously this wouldn't be a Binance Live event on BNB Chain if there wasn't some recent exciting developments that happened with Project Galaxy. So I know you went live on BNB Chain in early May, start of this month. Congratulations, which is obviously very
Thank
big.
you.
Keen to hear more about that. Could you tell us more about that launch, like what it was like and what it's all about?
Oh my goodness, it was so much fun. So the team is kind of all over the world. So we were all up regardless of what time it was. So for me,
Yeah.
it was 5 a.m. For my colleagues in California, it was 2 or 3 a.m., but we didn't sleep. So, and then in Asia, it was like 5 or 6 p.m. So everyone was up. We had like a huge Zoom. It was very festive, it was a lot of fun. And then when we launched it, obviously we were tracking the token, seeing what was going on, very celebratory. We were working on this for months and we were really excited about it. So maybe I can tell you a little bit more about what that token will be used for in the future.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. What is it? Tell us about the token. Like, what is it used for? Like, exactly. Yeah, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, with the launch of this token comes the launch of our DAO. So we're very excited about that. So this is our utility token. That's also our governance token. We actually are just closing in our first proposal today, which will be about, getting that treasury set up with our multi-sig wallets to make sure that the DAO, is in movement and we can make proposals. So that's a very, very exciting thing for us. So that's the first case of it. And then the second case is that you might be wondering around how do we operate? Do we have a revenue model as of now? And the the answer to that is no.
I'm sure people are curious. I wasn't sure whether you bring that up, but yeah, do share.
So as of now, all good Web3 companies, we've not been making, not been charging anything. We want the users to have fun. We want the partners to explore and try new things. But obviously, long term, we need to find a way to have a revenue model. So what we're hoping is to use this token to be a revenue model on our platform. So nothing's been announced yet, but maybe we'll see how it works. We're talking with all of our most loyal partners to see what would be the best way. How would you guys like to operate? Is it per campaign or fixed rate or whatnot? So we're looking on how to do that with them. But obviously, this is a big decision and big change. So it will not be taken lightly. It's going to be done in collaboration with like a lot of people, making sure that we're respecting our partners and whatnot. And then also, so for the credential part of it, and a lot of the credentials actually, it's users who curate the credentials and provide credentials, right? So we'll be able to reward or give back GAL, which is the token, to these credentials providers. So giving back to them. So there's really 3 utilities behind this token that we just launched. So it's going to be a very exciting time.
And when can people expect? Is it going to be like a big announcement when it comes to kind of the revenue model and like how that token will be incorporated? Is that something people should keep an eye on, or as an event, as an announcement?
For sure, we will announce something official and whatnot. Yeah, for sure. I don't know when that will be or whatnot. So yeah. I mean, the goal is for it to not change too much for the partners and the users, right? It's just, making
Yeah.
sure that we can continue to live on and provide great products and services for our partners and users.
Speaking of great products and great services, I know you kind of touched on future developments and some very recent ones as well. But curious to know, like, what is on the roadmap? What should people be keeping an eye on? You can give us, if it's stuff you can't share today, great. If it's like hints and teasers, I'm sure people will want to know. So keen to know what the future looks like for Project Galaxy.
There's a lot of things that are coming up. I'm going to try to not leak anything too crunchy, but definitely.
We don't need that, but just like broad areas of stuff for people to look forward to.
So a really fun thing that we're working on now is a V2 for our dashboard. So obviously for people who have not yet used the dashboard, that doesn't say much. But for us, a V2 is really fun because it means that, it's been a year. We've taken in comments. We're always updating. We're always, going towards perfection, although that doesn't exist. But we're working on a new dashboard, which is going to be we're really excited for. And the big thing is we're really trying to go towards that permissionless. So going towards like an open platform that everyone can come and use, which is planned to be Q4 maybe of this year. So that's really all hands on deck for that. And then our Galaxy Credential Network will be for next year, which will be launching a V2 for the credentials, which we're really excited about as well. So those are the big things that are coming that I can say.
There is a question as well in the group that just came in, and maybe that is maybe it's in use today, but people keen to know about how these credentials or the NFTs that are tied to them, how that can be used in metaverse-like environments. Is that something that people can do right now, or
that's a really good question. JR, do you mean like put them in your metaverse gallery? Is that what you're meaning? I don't know if he's still on.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm able to respond that quickly.
Sorry, I'm putting JR on the spot. That is a very good question. I'm guessing you could if it's in in your gallery. I'm sure you could because they do appear on your OpenSea. They are available, so I don't see why not. If you mean more the use cases in the metaverse, I'm sure. Let's say a partner had, let's say it's Sandbox or things like that, and they would reward these NFTs would be rewarded with utilities. I'm here. Oh, okay. Yeah, for sure. I think in a gallery, yes, or ID, for example. That's actually a good question. Let me get back to you on that because I haven't played around on that end with the Galaxy NFTs. I'm sure yes. But yeah, and then as the partners, they could definitely reward utilities in the metaverse with the NFTs. So, entrance ticket.
Yeah. So for those who can't see the comments, we're just talking about how the NFTs from Project Galaxy can be used in metaverse-like environments. So maybe in a gallery-like environment, or to use as entrance tickets. Those are just some examples. So
for sure. But yeah, for sure, there's not much we can't do. Yeah, for sure we can do that. Also, we've got like a huge team of devs. So if ever any partners had some crazy ideas or wanted to do something that hasn't been done, we always say yes. We're always like, let's make it happen. Let's find a way. So for sure, I'm going to say yes, just because I know that even for now, if that's not the case, they would find a way to do it. But I'm sure, yes, we can do that.
Yeah. I think BNB Chain, we have a similar spirit, definitely constantly wanting to build and be even more ambitious. Yeah. So I think we share that. And obviously there is, we kind of touched on it in passing, but obviously there is an ongoing campaign with BNB Chain, right? Around how to Web3, which maybe people here have already jumped on board and participated, but could you tell us more about that kind of flagship campaign?
For sure, and I might link the blog post in the Twitter. Yes. So the How to Web3 with BNB and CoinMarketCap is a campaign with Project Galaxy and you too, which is a Learn to Earn campaign. It's a great campaign. It's ending on June 7th. So we're May 30th. We still have 7 days to go and participate. I'll link in the Twitter chat maybe the the blog post, but basically you have some classes, some lessons to do on CoinMarketCap. And then when you do that, you have a quiz to take. And when you do the quiz, you can come and claim your different NFTs per class. When you get all of them, there's a bunch of prizes to be given out on Project Galaxy's end and on CoinMarketCap's end. So there's, I think, I don't want to say the wrong number. I'm looking. I know on our end we had over 180K worth of prizes. So a pool prize of 180K, and I think there's also a pool prize on CoinMarketCap as well. So I'll link that. Make sure you go and try it out. You'll be able to claim your oats. So we have an oat per lesson. It's a great way to learn about all these different protocols that are on the BNB chain, and learn more about the BNB chain as well. So yeah, go and explore.
Yeah,
I mean,
we'll put in the comments afterwards.
Yeah, I'll put it in the comments after.
And for people who want to kind of, as we think about, for people who want to make suggestions, who want to keep in touch with Project Galaxy, everything you're building, and how to collaborate, what's the best way to get in touch or kind of connect with the team?
Yeah, Twitter, official Twitter is Project Galaxy HQ. Be careful. Sometimes people like to impersonate us.
Like Project Galaxy HQ, just one handle, like one.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the best way to follow up what we're doing. We have our Discord, which I can link. I'll link all of that in the, I guess, in a comment in Twitter. So Discord is the best way. That's where all the information is. We have a Telegram chat. All of this can be found. Go on galaxy.eco. All of our links are there, so you can go there. Newsletter. So yeah, that's the best way to keep in contact.
Are there any other programs for devs perhaps to get involved, like in terms of co-development on things or bug bounties, anything like that, for the developers who might want to get involved?
Yes, if you go to GitHub, we've got a bunch of bounties and stuff like that. I knew we had a few last week. I know we are sponsoring the Graph, I think, if I'm not mistaken, next week in San Francisco, and we'll have maybe a bounty or two there. So yeah, definitely check us out there. Yeah.
So for partners, the end user, devs, there's definitely a way for everyone to get involved, which is awesome.
There's something for everyone, and I know, like, as a marketer, that's the word. When you say who's your audience, who's your target, you can't say everyone, but in Web3 it kind of is. There's place for you to learn, to play, to have fun, to get rewarded, to learn about all the different protocols. I also forgot to mention we're on like 7 or 8 chains. I know that now we're talking about BNB. There's no other chain BNB. But we are on 7 chains. So yeah, it's a great place to kind of dabble in whatever Web3 has to offer.
Amazing. I don't know if everyone else has questions, do drop them in the comments. Or if not, you can definitely reach out over Twitter and the Discord groups as well, for those who want to keep the conversation going there. But otherwise, I think that probably brings us to a close. And were there any other major updates that you wanted to share with the community, or do we think we covered most of it?
I think we covered most of it. Stay updated. There's fun things coming up. But yeah, I'm not the alpha leaker in chief yet, so.
No. We don't need that reputation. But amazing. Thank you everyone for joining and for your questions, for your comments. Do follow Project Galaxy to stay up to date on everything they're building, everything that's coming your way, because I think there'll be loads of opportunities for you to get involved. And of course, a very special thank you to you, Anne, for joining us in your morning to tell us more about what the team is building and kind of the vision for Project Galaxy, because I think that makes it obviously a lot more inspiring for everyone, but it also was kind of great to hear like the human side as well, like what this really means for how people can engage with their communities or grow that community. And I think for me, that was really valuable as well. And thank you, Tiana, as well, who's in the back, who made this all possible as well. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you all very soon.
Thank you.